In today's English lesson, we are going to have a conversation about the Olympics. So, if you are watching the Olympics in English, these 25 terms will really help you understand what's going on. And the first one is going to have two parts, a noun and an adjective. So, this first one, athlete, athlete. Take a look at the definition, and for each word, I will have a sentence that will help you understand what this word means. So, athlete is a person who competes in sports. Here's the sentence: the athletes trained hard for the Olympics. Now, we have another form of athlete, that's the adjective form, and it's athletic, which could describe a person or maybe an event. Here's a sentence using athletic. She had enough athletic ability to make the Olympic team. The next one is medal. A lot of athletes are trying to earn medals at the Olympics. Well, what is a medal? It's an award for winning or doing well. She won a gold medal in swimming. So you might know that there are 3 medals given out for each event. In English, we say the first place medal is gold, the second place medal is silver, and the third place is bronze. Let's talk about Olympic events. Notice what I did there. Olympic is the adjective form of Olympics. Let's talk about event. It's a competition or activity in the Olympics. The 100-meter race is a popular event. Please let me know in the comments, what is your favorite event in the Olympics? I would have to say mine is either basketball or gymnastics. And guess what? The US, where I live, they're good at both sports. It's probably why I like them, right? The next one is podium. Podium. We've talked about podium before with some of the election lessons. Speakers sometimes stand at a podium when they are going to give a speech, but in the Olympics, it's a little different. Athletes get to stand on the podium if they have earned a medal. So, what is a podium? The stand where winners receive their medals. She stood on the podium to receive her medal. And in the back, you can see there is a French flag because I am recording this in 2024 and the Olympics are being held in Paris. Torch. It's that fiery thing you see at the Olympics. Take a look at the definition. It's a flame carried to light the Olympic cauldron. Do you know that word? Cauldron. Witches sometimes have a cauldron. Here is a picture of a cauldron. The torch relay is a tradition before the Olympics start, right? Doesn't the torch go all the way around the world and then it will end up in Paris right before the Olympics start? How about relay? It's a type of race. It's a race where team members take turns running. They will also pass a baton to each other. You can see that yellow thing in the picture. In English, we call it a baton. I'm pretty sure in French, they also call it a baton. It's a little stick that you hand to your teammate if you are in a relay race. Here's a sentence. The team won the 4x100 relay race by almost 1 second. It's a lot of time for a race. I'm not sure if that happens in the Olympics because the teams are almost the same as each other. They're all really good. And I forgot to say it, but down in the description are all 25 terms with those sentences and the definitions. Ceremony. We've talked about this before. This does not have to be just at the Olympics. A wedding could be considered a ceremony. A ceremony is a formal event like the opening or closing of the Olympics? Here's a sentence. The opening ceremony was spectacular, but the closing ceremony was even better. So in English, the Olympics begin with the opening ceremony and they end with what we call the closing ceremonies. And I asked AI to create an image of the opening ceremonies in Paris, and this is what AI thought they would look like. All right, let's talk about records. What are records when it comes to the Olympics? It's the best performance ever recorded. And there are three types of records we might want to talk about. The first one, personal record. That means the athlete did the best job they have ever done. If it's swimming, like that's what it looks like in the picture, that would mean the fastest time that person has ever completed a race. But you could have world record. That might be the best one. That means in all of the world, this is the fastest a race has ever been done. An Olympic is what it sounds like. It's the fastest time this has happened at the Olympics. Here is record in a sentence. She set a new world record in the 100-meter dash in Paris. Dash, that means running really quickly. Hang on, because we will talk about another word like dash, and that is sprint. Now would be a good time to ask you to like this English lesson if you are learning English, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that so you never miss another English lesson. And look at this. It looks like this swimmer has just recorded an Olympic world record. Oh, come on, AI. I think they messed up there. It would either be an Olympic record or a world record. Now, it can be both, but I don't think the sign would say it like that. Qualify is the next one, and I didn't realize my light up there was not on. Now it is. So everyone who wants to be in the Olympics, they can't be in the Olympics. They have to be really good. That means they have to qualify for the Olympics. Let's take a look at the definition. That means to succeed in getting a place in the Olympics. There are only so many spots for each country, and only the best of the best can compete at the Olympics. Here's a sentence. He worked hard to qualify for the U.S. swim team. That's right, the U.S. We're really good at swimming. Have you ever heard of this guy, Michael Phelps? I think he has won the most medals of any athlete in the Olympics ever. I could be wrong. At least that's what they tell us in the United States. Who knows? They could be lying to us. The next term, I want to actually talk about two terms at once: stadium and arena. So, what is a stadium? If you look at the picture, you might already know. It's a large place where sports are played. The track events are held in the main stadium. So, opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies, track and field will be held at the stadium, the Olympics. Here's a couple sentences. The opening ceremonies were held there too. I think that's actually part of the first sentence there. They go together. Now, the next term, arena, take a look way at the bottom. Stadiums are larger than arenas. Basketball games will be held at an arena. And there you can see an example of what an arena looks like. A little smaller than a stadium. Stadiums might have roofs, they might not, but all arenas do have roofs. This next one might be a little difficult because I'm going to talk about another type of coach in a minute. So let's talk about coach. Hopefully, this is easy. What is a coach? It's a person who trains athletes. Her coach helped her improve her technique. And what is technique? It's another word that comes from French, and it means it's a special way of doing something that needs skills. Think about any event, any sport that is at the Olympics, they all require special skills, and the athletes are coached or trained by coaches in order to become better athletes. But you also might hear something like trainer. Coach and trainer are sometimes used interchangeably, but take a look at the definitions. A coach focuses on improving skills in a sport. A trainer focuses on keeping athletes healthy and strong. The coach will help athletes become better at the sport. A trainer will help them with their nutrition, maybe eating better, might help them to become stronger. Some people, if they have a lot of money, might hire a personal trainer. Even non athletes could have personal trainers. That person will help other people eat better and become stronger. Competition. Competition. It's a contest between athletes. The competition was fierce in the finals. It wasn't a blowout. Let's talk about blowout for a second. If a competition is a blowout, that means one team or one athlete does better than the other team or athlete. It's not even close. Sorry if you're watching from Brazil, but there was one famous soccer match where Germany beat Brazil like 7-1, wasn't it? Something like that. That's a blowout. Sorry if you're watching from Brazil. Sprint. We talked about dash earlier. That is when there is a short distance that is meant to be run really fast. Well, if you know dash, sprint is the same thing. It's a short, fast run. He excels, or that means he does really well. He excels in the sprinting events, beating everyone he faces. Sprinting is the opposite of a marathon. A marathon is a really long race. It takes hours to complete. Here's a little advice about learning English. Learning English is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you are learning English, and if you are watching this lesson, I'm sure you are trying to improve your English. It takes a lot of time. Don't be frustrated if it takes a lot of time for you to get really good at English. Okay, the next one is diving. And for this one, I want to talk about Olympic diving, but also a couple other ways you can use diving in English. All right, so what is diving at the Olympics? It means jumping into water from a platform. Diving is one of the water sports in the Olympics. You know who's really good at diving? The Chinese. They usually win all the medals. The Chinese often win, but the US is pretty good too. Now let's talk about skydiving and deep sea diving. Look at that. That is a picture of two people going deep sea diving. You see those things on their feet? We would call those flippers. I know you can use ocean and sea pretty much interchangeably, but we never say deep ocean diving. It's always deep sea diving. And of course, you can go skydiving. That is where you jump out of a plane and hopefully you have a parachute so you won't go down to the ground too quickly. All right. One of my favorite sports, probably because the US is really good at it, but it's gymnastics, a sport involving exercises and movements. Gymnastics requires great strength and flexibility. You probably know strength, right? Lots of muscles, strong, strength, both pretty much the same words. Strong is an adjective. Somebody has strength is a noun. If somebody is Flexible, it means they can bend their body really well. I believe Phoebe from Friends says she was really bendy, which means she's really flexible.
I'm very bendy.
We've talked about this event already: swimming, moving through water using arms and legs. She enjoys watching the swimming events. At the Olympics, sometimes you have team sports and sometimes you have individual sports. In the picture, that is a team sport. We call that crew in English. Let's look at the definition: a group of athletes competing together. The basketball team played very well. Team sports are different from individual sports. Let's go back to gymnastics. It can be an individual sport because each athlete might compete for themselves. They could win a medal for themselves, but it can also be a team sport where the athletes will compete together against other teams. The same goes for swimming. Some sports require judges. What are judges in English? People who score the performance. Gymnastics require judges. Basketball, they don't. They require something else, a referee. We will talk about that later. The judges gave her a high score. Two sports that have judges are diving and gymnastics. What about victory? Winning a competition. They celebrated their victory with their families. It felt good to win. What about opponent? Opponent. This is the person or team you compete against. His opponent was very strong. Uniform. Let's talk about it at the Olympics and when you're not at the Olympics. If you go to work, you might be required to wear a uniform. People who work at McDonald's have to wear uniforms. Everyone looks the same. But at the Olympics, it's the clothes athletes wear while competing. Each team has a unique uniform. The US, we are red, white, and blue, while China is probably mostly red and yellow. And here in this picture, we can see some soccer players. Yes, I'm from the United States, so we say soccer, but they are all wearing the same uniform. We also have the finals at the Olympics. Now, I know you can take a final exam in English class. It's like really important. It's the last thing you do. So let's talk about what finals are at the Olympics. The last part of a competition. He reached the finals of the swimming event. Medals are given out during the finals. And there is what looks like maybe the soccer finals. Maybe this team won the finals and now they are going to receive their gold medals. Let's face it, most of us are spectators when it comes to the Olympics. What is a spectator? It's a person who watches the event. The spectators cheered for their favorite athletes. We talked about judges earlier. Gymnastics require judges, but basketball and soccer, they require referees. What is a referee? It's an official who makes sure the rules are followed. The referee made a fair decision. That doesn't happen too often, right? Most people like to hate the referees. They're always getting the calls wrong. I hope you now know more about the Olympics in English than you did before. Maybe watch this English lesson a couple times. And if you want another English lesson, right down there, it's a bunch of English lessons about politics. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.